Hello guys and welcome back. So let's talk about modifiers and how they can help us to get the hairstyle look a bit more closer to what we want. So I think the major issue here is that a lot of hair strands are kind of like flat, especially the pullback part. You can see they're really flat. Okay, so to make them look more natural, we need to put them into clumps and then break up those things with noise. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm gonna go to the modifier and then add a new modifier, and this time I want to choose clumping and hit OK. And it's complaining about no guide or no clumping setup. So you just go here and click on the setup map. There's no clumping guide, right? So the clumping guide is basically like which part of the region is going to be inside of, as one clump, basically. And you can use the guide as the clumping. If you do that, you can see now for every guide you have, there's a yellow line added in here, right? So that means every guide is a clump. Okay, and you hit save. Okay, now you can see what's interesting now is your guide are now directing those clumping, right, which is pretty cool. And you can immediately see some really interesting thing that's happening. Just to be able to visualize things better, let me actually disable the visibility of the guide. And also we can go create a bunch of lights. I think I have some lights here already. I have some visual lighting. Okay, so if I do the lighting, you can see how this looks like. I guess the rim light is too strong, but there's just a bunch of directional lights. So let me yeah, that's the key light. I guess I can delete those two lights. Yeah, those are really strong rim light. You just need one light and a bunch of point light here just to help lighting the scene. I don't think we even need all the point light either. Just one light, right? One directional light, which helps you to see what's going on with shadow. Okay, one thing you can see mine is different here is the light doesn't move when I rotate the camera. Is this because the light has a group and the camera is having a parent constraint on the group, which allows me to visualize the scene with this one light that's kind of like a hide light here, right? So always going to be following. The angle of my choice will be the angle whenever I no matter how I rotate the camera, right? So if I can show you how that is set up, right? So we have no lights, right? So what you do is you create a directional light and you move it and make it bigger. You hit 7 to show the lighting. Okay, and now you can see this is already like before, right? And then you just to crank up the quality of the shadow, you go to the attribute editor and you go to the shadows, right? And you change the I think we can change that to use depth map shadow. Okay, and you crank up the resolution. You can see how it's getting better. Okay, and then you can change the filter size to have a better filter on these to get better quality. Okay, and I guess you can also make the color of the shadow a little bit brighter. And also in your viewport 2.0 renderer, I think you can go to the max texture resolution. You can change that to 8K and reload all textures. That should include the shadow texture also. Alright, cool. And then you can, if you rotate it to the back, you can see you're not really seeing that. So what you can do is you can grab the light and Control G to have a group, right? And then you move to the angle you want it to be like, and you grab your perspective camera and then the group. You do rigging, constraint, parent constraint. That when we rotate your camera, you can see now the light will always follow in the orientation of your parent. So that way you don't have to tweak the lighting all the time, and you can always see the things you want to see. And you can still tweak the light because the group is making it follow, so the light can still be tweaked in whatever way you want, and that's gonna be always following. Okay, yeah, that's some setup. But yeah, you can see now the clumping thing really helped us to get it closer to what we want. Like we're almost seeing what we designed in our hair sculpting, right? But still, I think it's missing some volume to start with, and it's getting too tight on the top. And also on the back, you don't want it to be spiky like that, right? So there's a few things we have to deal with. Okay, so I'm gonna go to the yeah, I want to show the body, but I guess that's fine. We don't need to show that. But let's go back to the Xgen, right? Xgen editor here. Okay, so for the clumping, we can first of all define the clumping by dragging this this gradient here. You can see how we can tweak how the tip looks like. We can make it even spread out and to get something different. Right, you can have some more fun with this, but we kind of want it to be getting tighter, but not all the way tight to a point. Right, so that's one thing. And secondly, I think we're getting too much of a clumping in on for the back part. Okay, so we can make that weaker, especially those guys on the very bottom, right? But by the way, you can see like the clipping is visible. So this is not a linear workflow. Like if you can see the problem here, you can just grab that and you fix it. Right, you can go. Oh, sorry. Use. This is the interactive ones. We should be using this one instead. So I'm gonna use that to sculpt it. Okay. And I guess this one has a big issue here. I guess I can make it better by going to the utilities and gets to curve first. Okay. Oh, I'm selecting two of them. Let's Control D to go back. I just need this one. Oh, of course the setting here will be delete. Right. And then for that curve, we need to go ahead and rebuild. With 10, 3 cubic. Right. And I guess I can do a smooth. Yeah, much better. And then curved guides. Right, don't need to. Yeah, we can delete that and add guide. Okay, now we can refresh this. Okay. And there's something sticking out from behind, so I think we can push this guy in. Right, when you see problem like this, you just fix them right away. Right, that looks much better. Okay, so yeah, where were we? I was talking about like this some of the clumping is happening too much, like those that you can already see that wouldn't be good. So we can eliminate some of the clumping by painting the weighting of the clump here. So go to the modifier here, we have the clumping, right? And we have the mask in here. And go to the drop down and we can create a map and call this clump Allen for the name of the character. Clumping or clump underscore 01 or 1 mask. And we can also make that 30, right, to have a higher resolution. And then create. Okay. And then we can isolate that. We can save it first, right, and then go double click to open the tools. And it's 1 for now, which is good, but I want to then make it lower, and I can start painting these areas to have lesser clumping on this area, basically. And maybe even lesser here, just in the middle, and have more clumping in the front for sure, but lesser here on the back, if that makes sense. Okay, and we're done with that, maybe even lesser here. And we can just save it. Okay, now you can see we're having lesser clumping already on the back. So you have a lot of control by painting those maps. Okay, and let's take a look at the lighting. Cool. I think that's good enough. So after that, let me disable the visibility of the guides. Another thing you want to be aware of that whenever you add new guides and tweak guides, like the new guides the guide we deleted earlier over here, right, with that new curve. I don't need that curve. That new guide is not in this clump, so you need to reset it by doing the get again and then save to make it update. Okay, just something to be aware of. Okay, anyway, so this is one guide. I'm gonna go to the show and turn off the visibility of the lights, so that's not bothering me. Okay, so we can also have some clump variance. So if we change that to 1, you can see there's some more clumping and some of the areas are having lesser clumping, right? It's just having some cool variations. So we can change that to like 0.2. So like it's having a bit of a variation in this case. Maybe a little bit too much. 0.1. Right. Alright, looking nice. So after that we can start breaking it up by adding new clumping. I'm gonna go add another clumping and hit OK. And this one we're gonna go set up map, but this time we're gonna set up based on the density. So let's do generate. You can see now this is generating clumping here, but we can lower down that, crank up the density to something higher, like 3, and then generate. You can see now we're having denser. You want this to be a little bit denser than your clump 1, so that way you're breaking up the clump 1 into smaller clumps. So I think I can go for 4 this time. Generate and hit save. Okay. Now you can see there's smaller clumping happening, right? It's just one more extra layer of breakup. But again, this is breaking it up too much. So I'm gonna go back to the clump 2 and say, you're doing too much of change. So I'm gonna lower that down, and also I can have some variant like 0.01 to have. Oh, maybe that's too small. 0.05. Maybe 0.1. Yeah, just to have some variations. And again, like if I wanted to have more breakup, you know, and lesser on the back, more breakup in the front, I can do that, right? So we can go ahead and look for the mask. We can call this guy Ellen Clumping 02 mask, right? And then go create, and we can save this, and then we can go to the paint. And for this one, I'm gonna go for like a quite low color here and flat it. Okay, and then save it. That way we're having very little weighting basically, and then we can have some of the areas to have more clumping. Like here, if I show the guides by clicking on that and disable the visibility of the primitives, we can have a brighter color here, and we can make those guys to have a little bit more clumping, because those guys are on top. The hair on the outer layer tends to have more clumping. So that's what we're trying to do here, right? And save that. Okay, you can see now we're having more clumping on the top ones and less on the bottom in this case, right? Which gives us that much more variation. Okay. All right, so that's one more variation we can add. And some people add more clumping, but I think it's depending on like how much clumping you really want. I don't think it's necessary to have a whole lot. If you can get away with 2, it's fine. Okay, all right. So that's basically the clumping part. We have 40 minutes in the video already. So let's stop the video now and moving on to the next. We're going to try to add more modifiers to break this up even more. Okay, see you guys next time.